Welcome back to Kanika's Corner. Today is a video in my mental health space. I'm talking about my grandparents, and the reason I put it in my mental health space is because my grandparents have been my support system and my grounding, and they are a very important part of my life. I've had the privilege of growing up in a joint family. Either we would go and stay in other family members' houses, or we had a lot of them over in our house. But a constant through everyone moving in and out were my grandparents. I was born in Bangalore, but since my parents were working in Muscat, after the first 3 months, I had my first international flight trip and went from Bangalore to Muscat. And that is where my grandparents' role started. Not only were they here taking care of me in the first 3 months, but once we moved to Muscat, one grandparent couple or the other were there to take care of me. So in the first few months it was my maternal side, and then my paternal side came in. And I have a cousin brother who is 5 months younger than me. So my paternal grandparents would take care of both of us together. My grandfather used to choose to take care of my cousin brother because he was a little less naughty than I was, and loved to sit in the place where he was sat. Versus my grandmother would chase me all around the house. So when you're told these stories, it just brings such fond memories of how much love and affection they had to take care of me at that point. And all of this was happening at a point when they had retired from their jobs. They could have taken it easy, they could have traveled, they could have just sat at home and enjoyed themselves. But instead of doing that, all four of my grandparents put their lives on hold and just took complete care of us. Their lives became even busier than what it was before, because here they were running after infants and toddlers. It's fun to see where all genetics comes from. I've got my love for hosting people and cooking people from my paternal grandmother. From my paternal grandfather, I've got fingers and toes. We all have our crooked fingers and toes from him. From my maternal grandmother, I've got this love for taking care of children and taking them under my wing and helping out. And from my maternal grandfather, it's all about a sense of order and discipline. The one thing that I've had from my grandparents is unconditional love and support. In spite of all the ups and downs and what I have put them through, they have always been there as a solid background for me and been my root system. Also, one of the things I've learned from them is patience. Immense patience to have dealt with me, because I was a baby who didn't like to eat. So, they would chase me around the house feeding me, and I didn't know when I had eaten enough. So after all that effort put in to feed me, I would quack, and then the whole feeding process would start. So, this tells me that incredible patience to have dealt with a really naughty me, and what a learning for me that I should be a little bit like that and have that sort of patience towards all my family too. So my brother and I spent a large chunk of our lives being taken care of by my grandparents, and so many things that they did for us. I'm just listing out a few of them. They used to take us to school in the scooter. My grandfather would ride us over and drop us to school and then pick us up again once we were done. And all of this was happening at a point when my father had to continue his work in Muscat, and my mother was continuing her education in medicine in Davangere. So here were my grandparents in their 60s, taking full responsibility for an infant and a toddler.
house sweet chulu. Party house sweet chulu.
So while my grandparents also helped to discipline us, we've had these moments of great fun with them. I clearly remember sitting with my grandmothers and watching Pride and Prejudice, the original version with Laurence Olivier, and we were all giggling over, ooh, Laurence Olivier. And it's an amazing thing to do with someone of a few generations behind, because you would think you can't connect with them about all of this. But they've been my sounding boards, and I could talk to them about all of these things, including, how good looking this person is. Both my grandmothers were excellent cooks. One did it out of passion and one did it just because she had to. But what they religiously did was that they would make a really interesting snack for both of us, that they would come in an auto to school just so that we could eat the snack on the way to our tuition class or dance class, whichever one it was. And every single day of the week, they were there in that auto with a hot piping snack, a cup of milk, all packed up. We'd have it on the way. They would, listen to our stories of what happened in school, and then they would drop us off at that class with a nice, full, satisfied stomach. My paternal grandfather died when I was quite young, so I didn't get to know him as well. But it was my maternal grandfather that taught me a lot of things. He was an army man, and you could see that, that was a very important part of him, because he was very disciplined in what he did. And he had these really creative ways of doing projects. So I got a solar system project from my 3rd grade that I gave him some ideas and he executed it. I mean, such an innovative project that he helped me with, and he helped us cover our books and, would show us how to cover each book. And thanks to him, I learned to make really innovative projects and reports as I went through school and college.
Hello, Kuti Machila. Hello, Kuti Ma. Hello, Kuti Ma. Focus me. Aru on the Parma. Aru on the Krapa. Enna maina? Idi ande the pap.
So this is the solar system project that my grandfather helped me make in 3rd standard, and what a beauty it is. It stood the test of time also.
Rotate pages to open. Isme page you don't open like this. Number 2, it says
It's a galaxy, a huge galaxy.
it's all full of stars and all those things.
Thanks to his influence in teaching, a lot of my projects were very innovative in how colorful they were, or color coded, or the shapes that I would make them in, and the way that I put the content in and categorized everything. My grandfather is great at documentation, and he put together my baby album, which is so full of fun and mischief, and he's categorized them in all the various ways that makes it a great looking back down memory as we go through it. So while both my grandfathers have not a musical bone in their body, I'm very grateful that my grandmothers have all the musical genes and they passed it on to us. Not just their love for music and bhajans, but helping, teaching us how to sing them, patiently listening to us as we go out of tune, and then bringing us back onto the right track. It's been such fun over the years to be taught music by them. So remember the times in school when we needed to have sparkling white shoes, and then we go in and muddy it, and at the end of the day come back with brown shoes? Well, my grandmother would patiently sit and put the white polish on it, and without fail, we'd have a shiny white shoe by the next day. So it's really incredible when I think back to all the little details that they lovingly did for us. And they were all in their 70s at this point when they were doing this, you know. So it's not like it was an easy age. But no matter what, 4 a.m. my grandmother would be up so that she would have lunch and breakfast made ready for us to leave at 7. And every day was something yummy, was something different, was something nutritious, and was something that we liked. So I've got to say we've been really lucky to have grown up with grandparents like this. When we moved back to India from Dubai in 2000, I didn't know any Kannada, and I had to read and write Kannada at the 7th standard level. So I had my paternal grandmother patiently sit and teach me everything from A, E, to building full sentences. And it was quite a learning in how much knowledge she actually has with the language and how good she is at teaching it. She would read, all the books written by the great Kannada artists, and she would love to go through them, and she would then teach us little snippets of it. So she was very excited when she was given the task of teaching us Kannada and learning how to read and write it.
91 is 90.
91 is 90 and
1.
91.
Nothing was too much for my grandparents. They were keen on doing every little thing that we asked for, and sometimes even before we asked for or voiced a desire, there it was all done for us. I lost my paternal grandfather when I was 3 and my paternal grandmother when I was 24. Both losses that sit heavily with me, but I'm really glad that I got to enjoy as many years as I had with them. And I now have the chance to spend, the remaining years of my maternal grandparents' life with them. It's difficult to see them growing old. They're in their 80s and 90s and, having various age-related problems. But I think I've been given an opportunity to help them out, to be with them, to give them company, which I didn't have with my paternal grandparents. So to me, this is, a wonderful part of the cycle to be in, where there's a little bit that I can give back for all the wonderful things that they have done for me. I have a really strong bond with my grandparents, but I have an equally strong and wonderful bond with my parents. It's just, different between these two sets of groups. And at the end of all of this, I've got to say I am really lucky to have had my grandparents in my life, to have had so much of their input and support. And, they've sort of put in their whole lives towards us from their 60s and 70s onwards. And what more can a girl ask for? For all those who are still lucky enough to have grandparents still living with them, do cherish every moment. It is such a beautiful feeling. Thank you for watching and please subscribe.